Hi guys. I'm going to wait until 11 o'clock to get started. If for some reason you can't hear me, just throw a comment in here and I'll make sure that it's working. Hi Jesse. Let's see. Got a couple people. 2 people. Throw your name in the comments, say hi. I'll make sure all my sound is off. Yeah. All right, I'm going to give people 1 more minute. And then I will get started. I'm excited there are a couple people here. I know 11 o'clock EST is not the most popular time, but you can always come back and rewatch this later on because it will be recorded and saved right here on the group. Alrighty, I'm going to get started because we got some people here and it's 11 o'clock. So my name's Allie. I'm going to be talking a little bit today about my 10 tips for before, during, and after vacation. I'm heading out on a vacation soon, and I have a lot of clients who are also heading out. It's winter here, and so we're just trying to get some sunshine. And February, March, April, lots of spring breaks for kids and all that fun stuff. So I know we've done some posts about travel in the past, but I'm specifically talking about vacation because a lot of the time it does afford us a little bit more flexibility, and we want to kind of find a balance between still feeling really good in our skin, but also being able to let loose a little bit and relax, which is just as important as, or to your overall health as being spot on with nutrition. So today we're going to be talking about finding that balance that feels right for you. We have, again, a lot of really great resources out there for general travel, and I'm going to be mentioning some of my favorite ones. And I've also put links to them in the comments or in the description already, so you can kind of see those as I go through them and then come back to them later as well. I didn't get very many questions to my post in the group, which is totally fine, but if you have them as I'm talking, just throw them in the comments and I will try to get to them at the end, and then I'll be checking back in on the thread to answer any other questions you guys come up with as you read them. So you can kind of see an outline on the side so you can follow along, but we're going to start by breaking it up into before, during, and after vacation. So before you head out on vacation, the first thing that is really, really important is to enroll your coach in what you're doing. And ideally, this is not 2 days before you leave. It's not just like, oh, hey, I'm leaving tomorrow for vacation. If it's a last-second vacation, totally cool. But if you have more time to give them, to give you some tips, it would be helpful to let them know a couple weeks ahead of time because, as you know, you send information about what you're doing to your coach, and then they might ask you questions and dig into things a little bit more. So having some time to go back and forth to really solidify a plan is helpful. You can even put your vacation or really any event in your seismic calendar, and then it will pop up for you and your coach. And I've attached a link to our Vimeo channel, so you can actually go on and see how to do that if you haven't done that before. And that's really helpful, especially for me. I'm very visual, so being able to go and see how many check-ins I have between when you let me know you're leaving and when you're actually leaving gives me time to kind of think about when we want to really be dialing on our plan and all that kind of stuff. So the more notice, the better. Giving some detail when you're talking to your coach is really important as well. Just saying I'm going on vacation isn't necessarily as helpful as I'll be gone for a week and a half, I'm staying in a hotel, I'm going with my family, because that will kind of dictate some tips that they can give you, and we'll get into that later on in this little chat. And lastly, they can really help you navigate what your trip should look like based on your goals and your expectations. So like I said, being perfectly within your macros 100% of the time might not necessarily be your goal. And I'm here to tell you that that is okay. And going into every vacation with intention and setting a vacation goal and vision of success for what you want to feel like when you're on your way home is super important. And your coach can kind of guide you and hold you accountable to that. So no matter what, you just want to be thinking about like what progress looks like for you. So maybe if this is your first time traveling, progress just looks like tracking breakfast. And maybe if you've been at this for a couple years, progress looks more like hitting my macros. Or maybe progress, if you're like me and you're very type A, maybe progress for you means putting MyFitnessPal away for a week. So it's totally different depending on the person and what you enjoy doing and what your vision of success is. So that's really important, and your coach can talk to you about that. There are lots of different options. You could track without using a food scale. You could track with a food scale. You could practice estimation. You could just track protein. You could just track protein and calories. And these are all tricks that your coach has up their sleeve. So they're there to support you and guide you through all of that. So number 2, I already came back to this a little bit, but creating that vision of success is really, really important, because there are times when you can be a little bit more flexible and times when maybe it's not going to work out to be quite so flexible. For example, if you were going on vacation and you had a weightlifting meet where you needed to weigh in 2 weeks, you would have to be a little bit more or a lot more dialed in, measuring your food, hitting your macros, than if you were just going on a vacation, you wanted to feel really good in your skin, but you also had a little bit more wiggle room there, and you weren't necessarily in a weight-specific sport or coming back and jumping into a CrossFit competition, or the Open's coming up if you're going on vacation and placing really well and the Open is on your agenda or in your goals. Maybe you do need to stay a little bit more dialed in. So that's, again, something you can chat with your coach about. Katie did a really awesome Facebook Live about this kind of stuff last 2 weeks ago. So I put a link to that as well, just kind of about how to figure out what level of flexibility works for you based on your goals. And then the third thing to do before you head out on vacation is to do some food research and planning. So if you already know where you're staying, if you're in an Airbnb, maybe looking for some grocery stores near you that you can, maybe they're walking distance so you don't get there and now you're stuck taking a cab back and forth or an Uber or whatever. Maybe you're looking at restaurants that are close by, taking peeks at menus, and this is all information that you can share with your coach ahead of time as well. And then the fourth thing is planning your training. So I definitely I'm a big CrossFitter, and I used to get caught in the like CrossFitter bust if I'm not like dying on the floor after it wasn't a good workout. So if there wasn't a CrossFit gym near me, I would be like, oh, well, it'll be fine, whatever, I'll figure it out. But training really does help you vote in favor for your goals. And I notice that when I train and get some kind of movement in, I'm more likely to make healthy nutrition decisions, even if I'm not tracking precisely. So looking up gyms where you are, or looking up workouts that you could do without equipment, like body weight workouts, would be really helpful. And then coming back to that vision of success. So if you are training for an upcoming competition, maybe you can't be as loose with your training, and so you do need to find a gym because you have specific training that you need to follow. So again, this is all part of planning ahead still. And then again, if you're looser and you want to do some body weight workouts, coming up with some ahead of time can be helpful, because I know when I walk into a gym with no plan and it's like a hotel gym, or I'm just looking at the floor being like, okay, what body weight movements am I going to throw together? I have a little bit of a harder time holding myself accountable to intensity. So there are some more links to different resources over in the notes. So some things that we have for you guys, there's a blog article called No Gym, No Problem that has a lot of really great ideas in there. There are body weight workouts and gymnastics workouts in your knowledge base. So there's a link to that. There are some really fun apps you can download on your phone. There's like a Nike training app. The app 7 is really great. And then Athea Skincare actually posts some really, really cool body weight workouts that I have all like screenshotted on my phone, but I linked to their Instagram as well because there's lots of fun stuff on there. And then the fifth thing before you even head out on vacation is honing in on estimation. So if you are someone who knows you're going to want to be doing a little bit of estimating at least, getting more and more comfortable trusting your estimation skills is really important. So some ways you can do this, you can play the guess how much it weighs game, and that's something I still do. I've been tracking macros for what feels like forever, and I still try to see how close to the number on the scale I can guess my food is when I put it on. So maybe I'm weighing chicken and I'm like, okay, this is probably 200 grams of chicken, and I can kind of see how close I can get. And then when you're on vacation, you can look at a food and know, or at least kind of trust that your estimation's close. We also have an awesome article called Improving Your Estimation, and there are some hand pictures saved on there that'll show you how to estimate serving sizes based on how big your hand is. So I've linked to that as well. And then the biggest thing that I use on vacation is thinking about what entries I have already kind of saved into my recent foods or foods I've cooked before that most closely resemble what I'm going to be eating. So for me, like, I love Mexican food, and I always put Trader Joe's peppers and onions in my eggs in the morning. So I know what 200 grams of Trader Joe's peppers and onions looks like. So if I'm eating at a Mexican restaurant on vacation, I'll use that entry because I can kind of know what 200 grams of cooked peppers and onions looks like. So thinking back to foods that are similar that you are more comfortable estimating, even if it's not the exact same food, and then adjusting a little bit based on if they're using oil and that kind of stuff. Okay, so first 5, that was all stuff from before you even leave. So as you can tell, kind of planning ahead is huge. And again, utilizing your coach is going to be really, really important for that. So number 6, planning backwards and thinking about balance and trade-offs. So when you're on vacation, what you want to be thinking about, again, is connecting back to your why. So if you're in your vision, so if you are going to stay very, very dialed in, that probably means that you're going to be needing to do some menu stocking ahead of time, or having a really good idea of what your ordering template would look like when you're eating at a restaurant. So what does that mean? Looking at menus ahead of time and creating placebo entries or placeholder entries. So if you find a meal that you think will fit into your macros really well, and dinner is going to be your big special meal for the day, planning that in first thing in the morning so that you can then design your breakfast, lunch, and snacks based on that dinner will be really, really helpful. And even if you are not tracking precisely, kind of picking, I like calling it my special meal of the day. So maybe I have on vacation, we're going somewhere really cool for breakfast. So that's going to probably be my higher carb fat meal. And then that means that through the day, I'm going to be eating a lot more protein and high volume veggies. And just knowing that that's a trade-off that I'm going to make. Some other things you can think about are, I like to think about the moment of pain. So when I'm looking at a menu and I'm thinking about all the delicious things that look good on the menu, I try to think about how the hardest part of this is going to be the 1 minute that I'm looking at my waiter or waitress and saying, this is what I'm going to order, when I know that I'm making a decision that I'll be happy about tomorrow. So if you can think about staying strong for that 1 minute where you're ordering, then you're kind of stuck with your healthy decision, or you're stuck with your decision that you're going to feel better about tomorrow, even if you have a million things on the menu that look really good. And on that same note, planning ahead and looking for things on the menu ahead of time kind of helps with that decision fatigue. So studies show that the more choices you have, the more tired your brain gets making decisions. So if you can go into dinner at least knowing I'm going to order a meal with a lean protein and half my plate's going to be full of veggies and the other quarter of my plate is going to be a healthy starchy carb, you will be able to narrow things down on the menu a little bit more, which will increase your likelihood of making a decision that you're more excited about the next day. And then just thinking of trade-offs. So if you do want to enjoy a glass of wine, then maybe you skip the bread basket. If you want 2 glasses of wine, you're probably not going to be able to fit dessert in, even if you aren't tracking precisely, just kind of thinking about what those trade-offs look like. And Sohee Lee has a really cool infographic about this that she posted on her Instagram a while ago. So I've linked to that as well in the comments. So number 7, go with what's familiar. So again, when you're eating, it's really, really normal to get really excited about a certain food that's on the menu or that's in front of you because it's not a food that you normally have. And it's really important to remember that it's totally cool to enjoy these foods, and being aware of that choice is going to be a game changer. So if you are looking at a food and you're thinking about whether or not you normally have access to it, you want to decide if it's worth it. And if it is, that's totally cool. And what I encourage you to do is to eat it slowly and to think about what portion sizes through the rest of the day need to look like. And then if you are able to pick mostly familiar food, so this is going to mean veggies, lean protein, healthy fats, larger portions of foods that you know easily fit into your goals, so things like lean protein and veggies, and then kind of keeping serving sizes of those more indulgent foods a little bit smaller. And then if you're looking at a menu and you're thinking to yourself, like, what the heck should I eat? I don't know what any of this stuff is, or what's going to come with what. Just ask yourself, what's the closest plate that you can make for yourself at home? And I like to think about the menu as basically a whole entire list of things I know that they have in the kitchen. So if that means that I'm picking different pieces of different meals, and asking if they can kind of throw something together for me, that's totally cool. So number 8, don't underestimate sleep and hydration. So drinking water through your day is super, super important. We can actually start to register thirst as hunger if we're really dehydrated, and it's much more likely that you're going to give in to like little snacks here and there if you think that you're hungry, which might just be because you're thirsty. If you want to think about how much water you're going to drink a day, a really great way to do it is to make like a water bottle goal. So you don't have to be thinking like, how many ounces exactly have I had? Maybe you have a 32-ounce water bottle and you think, okay, I need to get through this 3.5 times today or 4 times today or whatever it is. You can also track your water on an app, and I've put a little link to some good phone tracking apps, and you can track water right in MyFitnessPal as well. So those are some options. Some little tips: you can bring empty water bottles through TSA. So as long as you don't have water in your water bottle, bringing it with you if you're flying is really helpful, and then you don't feel like you have to pay $4 for a really teeny water bottle, which you're less likely to do, and then you're not going to want to drink as much water. So if you can bring one through TSA, that will be huge. And because flying and traveling in general is dehydrating, so if you can drink a little bit more water, that will help. And then prioritizing sleep. So we know that sleep helps regulate mood, hunger, energy, and you're generally like less motivated when you're more tired. So if you can really prioritize getting good sleep, it will help you feel better through your whole entire day, and you'll be more likely to make healthy decisions while you're on your trip. So those are the big things when you're traveling. Again, really just being intentional with your food choices, and then enjoying them. So if you are eating something you don't normally eat, just have fun with it and eat it in moderation. Enjoy every bite, and then get right back to the foods that you know feel really good in your body, and things will be totally fine. So that was number 8, and now we're on to after your vacation. So this is number 9, and the first thing I encourage people to do is to reflect on their trip. So I usually ask the people I work with to come up with 2 to 3 things that went really, really well. So maybe you packed protein ahead of time and it came in really handy. Maybe you drank a lot of water and that happened because you brought your water bottle. Or maybe you went grocery shopping right when you got there, and so you had plenty of options through your trip. So these are all things that you can identify that went really well. And then those are repeatable things that you can keep in mind next time you go on vacation. Then coming up with a couple things that didn't go so well so that you can learn from them. And I truly believe, and I know all coaches do, that as long as you can come back having learned something, it was a win, because that means next time you're gonna feel even better next time you come home. So maybe you like if you identify 2 to 3 things that you want to switch up for next time, maybe you saved too many macros for dinner and then you got really hungry and ended up really overeating. So now you know next time, eating more veggies, maybe planning ahead for that meal so you're not macro hoarding, and then you're able to balance things out through the day. Maybe you decide that not tracking anything didn't hold you quite as accountable as you would have liked. So now this next trip, you want to try to at least estimate your macros, still leaving your food scale at home, like that kind of stuff. So coming up with some actionable things that you can work on to make your next trip more successful will make this trip a learning experience, which makes it a win no matter what. And then the last thing is to reconnect with your coach and set some new goals together. So a lot of the time before we head on a vacation, we have some ideas like, I'm going to stay really dialed in until my vacation, especially if you're like going to a beach or something like that. And when you get home, you might feel a little bit lost and like you need something new to focus on. And that's totally, totally normal. We, again, have a really cool blog article about this. It's called How to Get Back on Track After Vacation. And that's, again, linked in the notes. But connecting with your coach, doing that reflection together, sometimes, like, I mean, even coaches need coaches. Like, I will reach out to my coach and be like, this is what didn't go so well. And she'll remind me that, like, that's okay. And that was a learning experience. And what can we bring into next time? And so, again, reconnecting with your coach so that you can talk about the things that went really well and the things that didn't go so hot, and coming up with a plan for next time. And they're just there to support you. I like to tell my clients I'm not the macro police. I'm not there to say yes, no, good job, bad job. It's all about learning and figuring out what feels right for you. So those are my top 10 tips. I know that the during vacation stuff all kind of works together. So I did put that outline on the side. And if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to put them in the comments. Let's see. I got some highs. Macro hoard on a daily basis. Remember that finding balance is key. So again, planning ahead will let you enjoy more food through your morning and afternoon if you're feeling like you have food, you're trying to save a lot of macros for dinner. And I find that I have more fun that way because then I'm more energized through the day. I'm not thinking about food all the time, and I can really be present with the people around me. Any more? No more. That was it. Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching, the 13 of you who watched on 11 a.m. on a Friday morning. But you guys are welcome to keep throwing comments and questions in the comment section, and I will come back and answer them. Have a good Friday, guys.